Hello everybody, and welcome to Let's Take a Look at The Witcher 2 Assassins of Kings Enhanced Edition. Probably the longest title of any game I've taken a look at in the past few months. Anyway, this is the long-awaited, I guess you could call it a port, but I don't mean that disparagingly, like a port or director's cut edition of last year's really critically acclaimed PC release, obviously The Witcher 2 Assassins of Kings. So this is now available on the PC as a free upgrade for anybody who picked up The Witcher 2 last year. Or, just available for standalone purchase on PC right now, as well as the long-awaited Xbox 360 version. I don't believe that this is out on PSN, but I am playing this on the Xbox 360 right now, and let's get started because there's a lot to show in this game. I'm really enjoying my time with this so far. I've probably put in, my guess would be about 12 to 15 hours so far, and I still feel like I'm barely scratching the surface of what The Witcher 2 has to offer. So as I press start here, I'm going to ignore that warning about turning off my Xbox while this logo is saving. You ever wonder what happens if you do that? Like every game, it's mandated to have one of those warnings. It's like a mattress tag or something. Anyway, I have a ton of saved games here, and I'm kind of hesitant about how much I want to show off. And the reason for that is that a lot of the appeal of The Witcher 2, at least in my mind, is the story and what kind of unfolds in the world you find yourself in. It's like a really rich, detailed world. So I don't want to spoil anything, but I am going to show one of the early boss battles. I would say this is about 4 to 5 hours into the game. So if you don't want the game spoiled for you at all, which, honestly might be something that I would recommend, you should probably just turn the video off right now. But for those of you who, want to see a little bit of gameplay and decide if this game is right for you, or you just want, a little bit of entertainment right now and you're not concerned about spoilers, then, by all means continue here. I'm just trying to remember which one of these is the one at the boss fight. I think this is the one right at the boss fight. So I think this is going to start us directly into the boss fight, which is not necessarily what I want to do, because I do want a second or two to explain what the fuck is going on so you actually understand what's happening. But I'll be able to pause once we get in there. I think it should start with a brief cutscene anyway. Worth noting that on the 360, the loading times do seem... Oh no, we're not at the boss yet. This is perfect. The loading times do seem pretty substantial, maybe 30 seconds a loading screen, which is hilariously still less than Bloodforge, despite the fact that this game looks fucking dope. Also, I don't have this installed on my hard drive, but apparently it installs to something like 7 gigs, which is pretty crazy. Alright, so we are playing as Geralt of Rivia, who is the protagonist of the first Witcher game. Now, I have to admit, full disclosure, I've not played The Witcher 1. PC only came out back in 2007, I believe. Oh god, my potions are running out. This is scary. I gotta talk faster. But anyway, you do not need at all to have played The Witcher 1 to understand what is going on in Witcher 2. It does a really good job of explaining just what the fuck is going on with the story through kind of a flashback sequence where you can almost determine yourself how much you want to hear. So if you're familiar with the story, you might not really be that concerned about it. But for me, I played through the whole 45-minute prologue, and it really did a great job of setting up the story. So anyway, there's basic combat in The Witcher. We have a silver sword. Oh, actually, I don't have a silver sword. This is before I crafted the silver sword. God, I am dumb. But anyway, we should still be able to succeed in this boss fight. So we have a regular sword, which is good for fighting humans. Normally, you would also have a silver sword, but I haven't crafted it in this save, apparently. And the silver sword is good against monsters. And what a Witcher is, if you're not familiar, is I'm not going to say a superhero, but a figure in fantasy who fights monsters. And that's basically... or hunts monsters, I suppose you could say, is basically our trade here. Now, combat is pretty simple. X and A gives you strong attacks as well as quick attacks, but the other cool thing is we also have signs that we can cast. So if you look here, I can cast a wave of kinetic energy that topples or stuns foes. I can cast a magical trap that immobilizes and harms foes. I can go down here to the Axii sign and do mind control, which turns foes against each other for a little while. Or I could use this shield called Quen, which when I throw that down, blocks damage, and also at later levels kind of reflects that damage to other enemies. Now, one more thing we have to talk about before we get started here is I hit the back button, which will thankfully stop my potions from going through. And I apologize for the long start here, but, forgive me because this is a dense game, and it is a little bit different than your standard standard RPG, I should say. The other thing that's important here is we have bombs and... it's up here. Bombs and traps. So we can equip these onto our quick bar. Yeah, definitely. No, equip the Summum. And during a boss fight or before a boss fight, we can actually set traps or use bombs. Well, we wouldn't use those before the boss fight. We'd use those during. But we could set traps and then try to lure the enemy into them to make our fight a little bit easier, because this game actually is fairly difficult depending on what difficulty setting you're playing it on. There's a tutorial. When you play the tutorial, it suggests, like, based on the number of enemies you kill, how far you can essentially get in the survival mode. It suggests a difficulty for you. Mine suggested easy, but I was like, fuck that. I'm a hardcore, Dark Souls, Super Meat Boy player, so I picked normal, and I am dying all the time. This game has a pretty substantial learning curve to it. Now, the very, very last thing that we should talk about before we get into a fight is meditation. Now, meditation is what really sets The Witcher 2 apart from your normal RPG. Basically, there are no such things as, like, health potions that you can just drink during a battle and then recover all your HP. What you have to do is actually craft your own potions. So, for example, I have all these formulas up here. The one I've been using the most is Swallow, which is a potion that gives us vitality over time, but very little vitality over time. So we can, create those if we have the correct ingredients for them, basically herbs and other such plants that we pick up from our forest. So we can craft all these, and these all do, various things. And then we can go to drink potions here, and we can drink these potions to increase our toxicity meter, but also give us certain effects in battle. Like, for example, the Swallow gives us, if we inspect, a little bit of vitality regeneration. Cat gives us the ability to see in the dark and see through walls. So by way of these potions, you can really alter your combat style. But you cannot meditate during battle, so you absolutely have to be prepared for what you're going to come across. Now, we are about to fight a boss called the Kairan. And I'm hoping that I'm in the right spot here. I feel like I am. Yes, this is the lair here. So we should have a cutscene here. And there's a lot of cutscenes in the game. I really, really like the way that they do the storytelling in this game. It's really enriches the experience greatly. But I will shut up and let these guys talk for a second, with only brief interjections from me. Lots of TNA in this game too, by the way. So this is a sorceress named Sheila. She is going to help us during this boss fight against this monster that has been terrorizing this town basically throughout the first act of this game. And this is the first kind of monster hunting contract that we're doing. And I can't help but feel that this boss fight would be easier with my silver sword, but apparently I haven't crafted that because I am dumb and didn't look at my side quests. But I guess I beat it with the regular sword once before, so we should be fine here. Really a dick move to, like, shock this monster out of his home with these lightning bolts, Sheila. What kind of a sorceress name is Sheila, anyway? So as we get into this fight, you'll hopefully understand just what the heck is going on, and you'll understand the reasons why I explained all of that nonsense that I explained in the first, 8 minutes of this video, which was probably a little bit overkill for those of you who have played The Witcher before. Anyway, first thing we're going to do, as soon as this boss battle starts, I'm going to equip one of my signs that will help me here. And it's been a while, I'm just trying to remember now just how to defeat this boss. So I'm just moving around with, analog sticks. Oh god! Definitely don't want to get this poison on me. Get out of there! Oh, there we go. Okay, now I remember. I would say that was pretty poor play for me so far. I know to trap with the Earden, Sheila. Alright, so we're just gonna roll away. Try not to get caught in the goo. And what we gotta do is pop down like an Earden, maybe right here. It'll try to go for attack. Oh, come on, that was supposed to stun it. It wasn't quite there. Alright. This is going really badly so far. I may actually die at the start of this, which would be pretty embarrassing. Get out of there. Okay. Now we have to plant this Earden properly. Oh, that's gonna hurt. You can see, if I get hit maybe twice, I'll die. I lost half of my health from one hit. Okay, there we go. The Earden has successfully trapped, and now we're just gonna go hack on these weak points. It's funny, in a lot of RPGs, there would just be these big fuck me weak points that you would go to town on. But in The Witcher 2, we actually had to learn about these. So we did some, basically, reconnaissance on this monster and discovered, oh, this monster has cancer. So we're basically attacking this monster's cancer to kill it. Basically being the biggest dicks we could possibly be right now. Oh, shit. Definitely want to make sure I avoid getting hit by that. So you can see, right now I'm drinking one of those potions that increases my vitality regeneration over time. And look at how much it gives me. It's not like drinking a health potion in your standard RPG. That's for damn sure. Alright, we're going to put another Earden down. Alright, that was a perfect one. And I can't help but feel like these would probably die in 2 seconds if I had my silver sword. Like, generally speaking, your steel sword works fine against monsters, but your silver sword cuts through them like butter, basically. So, I don't know. This might just be for dramatic effect, though, the number of slices that I'm having to take. Alright, so with this thing dead, we will try not to get caught in that... Oh, God! Like I said, try not to get caught in that poison. Try not to get hit by that, either. And he is going to destroy a little bit more of that. That's fine. Now we got one more tentacle, like, right here. So I'm going to try to stand, like, pretty close to it. Ah, there we go. We did manage to get it. Do some hacking here. Now, because I know what the fuck I'm supposed to do right now, this probably looks fairly easy, but the first time I tried this boss fight, it was actually exceptionally difficult for me. I basically had to wait for Sheila to be like, trap it with the ear den, you big motherfucking idiot. And I was like, what's the ear den? I don't know what the ear den is. But anyway. Just suffice to say, oh god, I shouldn't be here. Get out of there! That was close. Suffice to say, this game definitely does not do very much hand-holding, which I really like. Oh, X! Quick time event. There we go. Oh, right. Now, I forgot about this part, actually. Where we can do some, like, God of War-style climbing. Use our sword to just poke the bejesus out of this guy, and then probably climb up on his back, and do some stabbing through his brains. Come on. Ouch. That actually hurt me a great deal. I was... Game over! What are you talking about? You know what? I'm dumb. I'm pretty sure you were actually supposed to climb up the K around there. That is totally my bad. I do not want to load my last save. I will actually continue playing from my most recent game save. Let me think. Actually, let's load up an earlier save from that town, Flotsam. Where can we... Yeah, actually, this could be good. So this is taking us to a part fairly early on in the game, more like 2 or 3 hours, if I remember properly. And hopefully this will demonstrate a little bit more of the town dynamic, as opposed to just like the boss fights. I wanted to show off like standard gameplay, which will probably be the last thing I show off, a boss fight, and like actual in-town dynamics, like side quests and stuff like that, to kind of give you a feel for the scope of this game. So my hope is that this one is going to be where I think it is. Yes, okay, we are entering this town of Flotsam for the first time. And we can pick up like a variety of materials. As you can see when we walk around, we can see, oh, there's twine over here. And what? Let's try this one more time. I wanted to see the roots. Yeah, we got like mandrake root and celandine there. So we can pick those up, and each one of those will contain ingredients that could be useful for alchemy. One complaint I do have about the game is that I'm really tempted to just pick up basically everything that I come across. And that can lead to problems of being overburdened. Like, I have a fairly low equipment burden, which can be a problem for me as of yet, but it's okay. That's mostly, I believe, my fault for not, exercising some kind of caution with what I pick up. But, coming from most games where it just is like, find this ingredient, you're going to need it at some point in the future, better not backtrack, it's hard to get used to. So I believe we're going to have some sort of cutscene here where we will be introduced to a few characters that are fairly prominent throughout the game, and also we'll see a little bit of dialogue. And this game very much has, like, dialogue trees that you can sort of follow, and each one affects the story in a very different way.
Zoltan. Dandelion, my informer.
Just great.
What's the plan? We improvise. No killing. We'll take care of this, Triss.
Geralt!
All right.
Geralt! Over here! Help!
So this should start our dialogue, I believe. I have to go talk to one of these executioner guys. Not this one, apparently.
Step back, White One.
And the first time I played through this... Oh god, I only have a limited amount of time. The first time I played through this, I took kind of like a very passive way and tried to persuade him. This time, I am going to be a little bit more aggressive, just to see how this changes things. Because it very much solved things in a non-violent way the first time.
I don't give a shit. Stop the execution.
Careful, Wanderer. You could lose your tongue for that. I've heard of you and know you can fight, but you'll not take on the whole garrison.
Oi, Tin Man, that's pure rubbish. You're talking to the famed Geralt of Rivia, you are?
Commandant Laredo rules this town, and it's his orders I follow. Piss off, jesters, before I have you beaten good.
You're a disgrace to your uniform, you shitty little idiot.
What? Hey, boys, lend me a hand here. Got an uppity little one that needs a thrashing.
Take a swing, runt. I dare you.
Can't turn that down. Get him!
Alright, so the first time I did this, I only had to fight that guy, because it was kind of just like a battle of wits. Maybe it's the same thing here. So we're just going to do like some quick time event fist fighting. And there's a lot of this in the game, and the fist fighting is weird, because it's like really, really easy compared to the rest of the combat in the game, which is honestly fairly difficult, but it is kind of satisfying. Like the way that Geralt executes fools can be pretty visceral. Yeah, I believe I only had to fight one guy the first time, but I might be mistaken. Anyway, in any case, this is not very difficult. And it seems like there might be no passive way to get through the situation, like you can't just talk them out of it. So we'll execute this guy with one more quick time event. Easy enough. Stop it, he's already dead! And maybe we got one more, because I still hear knives coming. No. Alright, as you can see, this game, fairly brutal, right? Like, people are dying all over the place, people are saying shit. It's a mature game for adults. Oh my god, I gotta fight this guy again too? Punch him in his big old belly. This guy looks like he's gonna take 4 quick time events to take down, as opposed to the other guys who only took 2 and 3 each. Standard video game troping there. And one more should be enough here. Alright, and again, these are just like quick time events to advance the story. It's not actually meant to add any difficulty to the game. They're used sparingly, and you know, I think it works for the most part, regardless of your opinion on quick time events. There's not a whole lot of them in the game.
What the hell is going on here? I said.
We may perhaps actually have to fight these guys. I can't remember. No. I think this is the scripted way things are supposed to go.
Report.
Don't be a dick, Laredo.
A few ploughing bandits and you can't even hang them. And you, stay calm, hands off your sword. Our scaffold embraces speeches and hangings.
So I think we have another dialogue tree here, basically. And I think the first time I said, I don't want trouble. This time I'm going to say the law's on our side.
No right to hang them.
Interesting. Because I'm the law in Flotsam.
I take issue with that. Vernon Roach, officer of the king.
Well, blue stripes. The non-human hunters.
Precisely. Anyone suspected of collaborating with the Scoia'tael falls
Scoia'tael
under
are
my
elves.
jurisdiction.
Just so you're aware.
And Dandelion? What's he accused of?
He burned down a watchtower. What's your jurisdiction say to that? I thought so.
Is that true?
It might have looked that way, but I swear it wasn't my fault.
Actually, this dialogue is different from the first time that I did it. The first time...
I'm joking.
The first time I did it, they claimed that Dandelion, the guy on the far left, was guilty of debauchery, just like drinking and philandering, basically.
Meaning?
Give me a minute, would you? Listen here. You may have heard rumors of the tragic events that transpired during the siege of Lavalette Castle. Sadly, they are true. King Foltest is dead. It's likely that Scoia'tael had a hand in this heinous murder. So you see, none of you can feel safe. That is why today, wagons with armaments will roll out into Flotsam streets. I hereby declare a state of emergency. Await orders. Prepare to fight. And ready yourselves to avenge your fallen king. Now disperse. Go to your homes.
So the basic premise of the game so far, I'm just going to skip by this dialogue right now. Just not all that important, because it's just setting up a quest that we're going to do in the future. This is basically us getting into our first town. When the game starts, there has been an assassination. Okay, Dandelion and Geralt and Zoltan, I can't really talk to you right now. They're just saving the game here and giving me another quest. But we are in our the first town of the game, essentially like our Hyrule castle of the game. So there's a lot of shit that we can do around here. We can take a bunch of side quests, but story-wise, the reason the game has been called Assassins of Kings is because there have been 2 regicides So literally assassinations of kings that have occurred in the town or in this realm recently. I'm not sure what kind of, geographical diction you would prefer to use. So we're basically trying to clear our name because we've been framed for one of the murders, or at least misunderstood or misinterpreted as the killer for one of the murders. Or the killer of one of the kings, I should say. So I'm going to go in here.
Find something interesting here.
And when Geralt's talking about the notice board, he's basically saying, like, this is a set of side quests that we can do. So what I'm going to show off very quickly is not a side quest, because those can take, upwards of an hour to complete sometimes. I'm just going to show off maybe some arm wrestling. But who can I arm wrestle in here? I think I can arm wrestle this dude.
You look strong. Care for the little contest.
So kind of every time you go to a town, you can run into some kind of side quest like this. And we can bet amount of money on them. I'm fairly confident I can win here. There's always like street fighting or barroom brawling. There's always arm wrestling. Just a quick way to get some experience and make some money. And I'm kind of hoping that this will level me up so I can show what leveling up is like in this game. Because it's something that doesn't happen all that often. Again, 15 hours into the game, I'm like level 16, as we will see in my latest save. So arm wrestling's pretty easy. Just got to keep your analog stick, within that region.
Too strong for me.
In order to
Here's
to
what
win.
you're owed. You ought to give Wiry Wilkes a shot.
So basically, it always goes like that. Like, you'll fight one guy, and he'll be like, oh, if you think you're tough, you should fight this guy. But I'm not going to really bother. You know what? We'll arm wrestle Wiry Wilkes. Why not? We'll arm wrestle. We'll put a lot of money on it, because I'm fairly confident, again, in my chances to win here. So come on, Wiry Wilkes. As you can see, once we get started here, it gets a little bit harder to keep it inside of this thing. Once you're fighting, or arm wrestling the boss of an area, it becomes exceptionally difficult. Like, if that button falls out of that, good zone into the danger zone for any length of time, you're probably going to find it very difficult to come back from that.
Here's your.
So he's going to give me some money. This is good. I'm just going to briefly take a look and see how close I am to leveling up. I'm so close to leveling up. Look, if you look at the very top, I'm like 40 experience away. All right, so let's arm wrestle this other dude here in the bucket hat.
Strong lad, but I'm no wimp either. Wanna take
Yeah,
me
we
on?
can arm wrestle, fine. Wager 30 orens on it. Money's kind of hard to come by in The Witcher, so being able to earn a decent amount of money doing stuff like this is awesome. So we'll fight this guy, and he's going to be probably a little bit more difficult. Part of the problem is that that button that you have to keep within the good zone does not move very smoothly at all. Oh, God! You can pull it back, Geralt. Strongest man in the world. There we go. So we're going to collect another 30 orens, which is awesome for us. And hopefully that will level us up as well.
Who?
Alright, so they're setting up the last guy. Did that give us any experience? It gave us 10 experience? Okay, well, you know what we're going to do quickly? We're going to head down into the basement and get into some fucking fights. This isn't where I want to do fights. Where's the fighting? If I come up through here... Yeah, okay, you guys are super strong. Where's the fighting? I just want to punch some fools. Yeah, okay, I'll pick up some meat. Next time I'm here. Maybe it is through here somewhere. Again, we come across a loading screen. I'm not sure how much this is mitigated by actually doing the installation to your Xbox hard drive. Obviously, it's something that's not going to be possible if you don't have a hard drive yourself. There's a little bit of money for us. Rusty daggers, some alchemical ingredients, and I really should just show some like combat with monsters. But I would love to level up first, just to kind of show you what kind of perks you can get. Like the more you level up in this game. All right, I think this is where we've got some fights going on. Yeah, right in here. So we'll skip through this guy's dialogue very quickly so I can get to some actual combat versus monsters a little bit later in the game. Blah, 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 blah. Yes, I'll give it a shot. Okay, so the first component. I'll do this, and I will wager all the money that I have. Because, again, this is just quick time event, so it's very, very easy. So hopefully I only have to do like 2 or 3 fights. But in any case, it's going to be quick. I'm so sorry, Andrew B. We'll talk about that later. Not now. I'm not really interested. Okay. And I also did not level up, but that's fine. I'm going to explain leveling up very, very quickly. If you go to character up here at the top, he's like 10 experience away. Oh, no, I'm 30 experience away, whatever. Okay, so every time you get a level, you can choose one of these masteries to like put points into. So right now, because I'm like under level 10, I only have access to this training path, but there's very useful skills in here. Like I can get my vigor regenerated during combat, and vigor is basically energy that I use to cast spells and, you know, dodge attacks and whatnot. Can redirect arrows, there's a little bit of extra vitality, the ability to parry, as well as dagger throwing, and you know, a more vigor regeneration. But as you get into later levels, you can get some really cool spells. I can't access them right now, but what I will do is load up my most recent save, and then I should be able to show you what's going on. We are in Hunting Magic here. So this is, again, like 12 to 15 hours into the game, so if you haven't played through the first act, I can't guarantee that there won't be spoilers here. But hopefully I'm going to keep them relatively minor. I'm not going to talk too much about story beats, just want to kind of... making sure my computer doesn't fall asleep there. Just want to make sure that, you know, I actually get a feel for the kind of combat that you'll see in The Witcher. Because apart from, you've seen a boss fight, which is kind of, you know, indicative of the way the boss fights often go in this game. You've seen, what else? Like a little bit of the ambient kind of town stuff that you can do. Now let's see some actual combat. So let's go to the character screen quickly, where I was before. So you can see some of the stuff in these, like, magic, alchemy, and swordsmanship paths. So in the swordsmanship path, I've skilled up an ability that allows me to roll, 200% further in battle, which is really useful. I'm not sure if I got a chance, but like, if you watched when I fight the Karen, my roll was like really small compared to my roll here, which is a little bit longer. And that becomes very useful because you really have to keep your distance from enemies in these fights. There's also the ability to riposte, which I got because it reminded me of Dark Souls. Of course, there's like much later spells as well, like very special attacks that we can do ourselves, increased vitality again, chances of critical effects and whatnot. If we go over to our magic path here, upgrading these upgrades are signs. So right now I have Ard Sign level 3, which allows us to basically use that kinetic spell that pushes people, and it becomes more effective. Like now it affects entire areas, and it has a much longer range. My mind control spell is leveled up a little bit more as well. It gives a buff to the units that I mind control, and hopefully we'll be able to see that in combat. Haven't really used anything from the alchemy path yet, but the alchemy path allows you to like gather more ingredients when you're foraging for herbs and plants that will help you make potions. It makes your potions more effective, etc., etc. Like chance of an instant kill when poisoned plus 1%. That could be pretty useful. But anyway, what I'm doing here is basically trying to find this place of power to retrieve some kind of magical artifact that will hopefully help me save a prominent member of the story who has been poisoned. So I do have my two swords now. I have my normal sword and my silver sword, which is what I'm using right now. So the first enemies we're going to fight, I guess, are these harpies. So what I'm going to do is roll my ass away and just try to kite them, basically at one at a time. So I will pick up a spell here. Let's use our mind control spell. See, oh god, and there's another monster as well. Okay, sometimes the mind control spell just fucking fails. Let's give that one more shot. Alright, there, it actually succeeded. So you can see that this harpy is now aggressive towards the other harpy, although it doesn't seem to be doing any attacking, which is, you know, awesome for me. Oh god, there's too many! You know, anytime you're fighting more than one monster, it's time to reevaluate your position. So I'm going to think about what spell I'll use next. Probably Quen, which is going to reflect some of the damage that these guys are going to try to do to me. So it's going to make me a little unaggressive. Okay, awesome. Bandits are now joining into the fight. So all three of these guys are fighting each other, and also fighting me as well. This is a really weird fight that I did not expect to have happen. We got like 3 factions all fighting each other at once. So I'm going to set a Yird in here. And then basically, you know, I'll go to town on these guys if they decide to come in on me. Okay, this guy is. Let's take out our sword that's better against humans. Roll away a little bit. And do some attacking here. I have a pretty bad equipment, I would say. Please, no more of these guys. Like, pretty bad equipment, but I think my fighting style is okay, even though you might not be able to see that right now. Come on, Harpies, get out of the way. Alright, so, oh, I stunned that guy, so I should be able to execute an instant kill. Ah, no. Well, close enough, basically. Okay, so the 2 bandits are dead. Now, you can probably take out my monster sword again. And then deal with the harpies. If I can just roll away here. Okay, so how many harpies do we have? Is there one behind me? Yes! Oh god, these guys do so much damage to me right now. So I'm going to back up. I'm going to try the Axis sign again in order to mind control one of these guys and hopefully get them to fight each other, even though they're not being that aggressive right now. Well, now they are. Okay, awesome. Let's try our Igni sign, which allows us to shoot basically like a pyrokinesis at them. This is pretty useful. My Igni sign is barely upgraded.
Damn it.
Now that Axie sign is going to run out very quickly, even if it hasn't already. There it goes. So we'll just kill this first harpy here. I'm doing a fair amount of damage to these guys. These guys are basically glass cannons. Like, they do a lot of damage, but they also take a lot of damage. So there's another one dead. And, oh, shit, there's one more behind me? Come on, game. Oh, I guess they're going to fly away. You scared? I would be. Oh, maybe they're not. So we'll use our Ard sign, which allows us to take them out a little easier because it knocks them directly to the ground. Sometimes you get like a chance to proc an instant KO on these guys when you do that. And these guys also drop basically alchemical and crafting ingredients. You can see if I go over to this guy. Oh, come on, more harpies? Come at me, bro. I want to riposte you. He's not being very aggressive right now, so we'll just go to town. Again, one-on-one is not where the game's difficulty lies. It's fights with multiple people and kind of like managing the crowds that you're going to run across, which is really a cool way of doing things. So I can pick up these like harpy feathers and harpy claws, as well as some twine, and I can use these to make something a little bit later. But as you can see when I go to my inventory here, pretty close to my limit in terms of equipment burden, so I have to be a little bit more judicious about deciding what I pick up. So what we're going to do, the one thing I don't like about movement in this game is that it reminds me of like Ocarina of Time, where I'm just continuously doing this duck roll because it moves a little bit faster than just my normal walk. Alright, so we got two guys. I don't think this is going to be too bad. We'll just use our Ard sign, knock them both down. Should be able to go to town here. This is, although it might sound and look like I'm just mashing buttons right now, this is not a game about button mashing. I mean, you can get away with it in 1v1 fights, but you know, when you're fighting more than one group or more than one individual, so you're fighting a group, you have to be a little bit more cautious about what you're doing. Alright, so now we will have like kind of a boss, or pseudo-boss I should say, showing up at some point here. I'm going to take damage basically immediately because I'm dumb. We're going to roll away from these guys. I'm going to drop down my Quen sign, which should give me a little bit of protection and allow me to do something here. I'm not sure what I'm going to do. I've got all these bombs. You know what? Let's throw a dancing star at these guys. So you can throw daggers and bombs during combat. That didn't really do a whole lot. I guess it did stun them a little bit. Well, let's throw a Zircanian sun at them. Ah, that did something. Let's toss another one out there. Doing some damage. And again, basically just doing a whole bunch of crowd control here. Just kiting the enemy. Tossing bombs at them. That's going to do a little bit of damage and blind them a little bit, which is going to make my job 10 times easier. How many more of these do I have? Just one. And it's worth noting, like, I didn't buy these bombs. I crafted them myself in the city. So a lot of it is, like, self-reliance. You got to find these ingredients yourself. And then, you know, make do with, or do with them what you will. So we'll toss some more bombs out here. Just hoping to take out these harpies without actually having to get down and dirty. It looks like the more difficult harpy has already been killed, which is awesome for us. Still got my Quen sign active, so we'll just go to town on this last remaining harpy. Sweet, that fight went way better than I expected it to. Like, the first time I tried this fight, I basically just went in and tried to tank all the damage, and it took me, you know, 25 minutes, and I died really easily. I'm picking up all this stuff. Now I have to activate this place of power using my medallion, is my guess. Or maybe I have to jump up here first and then activate it. The medallion basically shows you places of interest, so we'll see what we find here. I honestly don't know. Magical crystal, apparently. Cool, and then we have to bring this back to the town to complete our quest. But you know what? I think I'm going to call it quits here. Let's go back to the title screen. So that's a brief smattering of the kind of gameplay that you can expect in The Witcher 2 Enhanced Edition. Really, really enjoying this game so far. I didn't get a chance to gush over it during my commentary too much because I was just explaining, you know, the basic mechanics of this game. I do think this has like a 10-hour learning curve to it, but I don't mean that in a negative way. It's just a very dense game. There's a lot of stuff to get into. So this is now available for, you know, full manual or manufacturer suggested retail price. Xbox 360 and the PC. Pros, this is a very mature game, and I don't mean that, you know, like one of my friends was saying, The Witcher 2 is mature, but it's not just mature because there's like sex and violence in it, although there is a lot of sex and violence. It's mature in like the themes that it deals with. Like it deals with politics. Like there's a lot of fairly involved political discourse, and like there's constantly shifting alliances and stuff like that. So it's got a lot of mature themes. This is definitely not like a Fable or I hesitate to say Skyrim because I didn't play enough of that game yet to really compare it. Although a lot of people want to compare it. Okay, I don't want to see this cutscene right now. I'm talking. So anyway, I'm not going to get too much more into it. Very mature game. The combat is very nuanced and is definitely not button mashy at all. There's a lot of strategy that goes into it, although it does take a while to learn. Looks fucking beautiful. Like, I know there's gonna be PC Master Race people out here. I've got a great PC, and to be honest with you, I bet this game probably does look a whole hell of a lot better on the PC, but on the 360, looks gorgeous. One of the best looking 360 games I've ever played. And beyond that, just a whole lot of fun. Like, this seems like an incredibly dense game. Like I said, 12 to 15 hours in. Barely feel like I've scratched the surface. And my favorite part of the game so far has been like this world that they show you that's really rich, and you can really get caught up in it, and everything that happens seems to make sense. And I didn't even really get a chance to show too much of the story because I didn't want to spoil it, which is a shame because that's probably my favorite part of the entire game. Just a quick note of like stuff that you get in the enhanced edition. I don't know, there's extras here. Like a movie describing what it means to be a Witcher. You can also watch like the opening cutscene, which is gorgeously rendered, as well as animated sequences that you get from the game. Apparently the difference between the regular version and the extended edition is like, I don't know, a few hours of new content as well as some extra cutscenes or something. But in any case, I don't even think you can get The Witcher 2 anymore. You pretty much have to get The Witcher 2 Enhanced Edition for exactly the same price, which is an awesome deal. CD Projekt Red, you know, big ups to them for releasing this for free for people who have already picked up The Witcher 2 on PC, just a free, basically, title update. But anyway, as always, thank you guys for watching. Witcher 2 Assassins of Kings Enhanced Edition. Pretty fucking awesome if you're a fan of like hard fantasy and you like your RPGs like I do, which is basically brutal and, you know, requiring you to have constant focus on combat and strategy and not just like, you know, mashing ether or phoenix sounds over and over and over, then you're probably gonna find this right up your alley. I can't say enough good things about this. This is, you know, right up there with Dark Souls in terms of the best RPGs that I've played in the past, you know, couple of years. As always, thank you guys for watching, and I will see you next time.
Witcher. Or